Hello and welcome to another of my videos. Today I'm coming to you from the Brecon Beacons in the south of Wales. It's been quite a long time since I camped here, so I'm really looking forward to those great big classic Brecon Beacons horseshoe views. I've got my Hilleberg Soulo on my back, weighing in at about 18.2 kilos today. It's not going to be the coldest camp, and I think temperatures are even in two figures at the minute, over 10 degrees Celsius. And I think my last 4 camps have also been in double figures, but that's double figures below freezing with the wind chill. So this one will feel quite a lot warmer than my recent camps, I think. And I'm looking forward to not having to thaw my water out in the morning. I've got a couple of neat bits of kit with me today, which I'll show you once I've arrived at camp. But I'm also going to have a quick chat about some of the comments on my last video, and also just feedback some of the suggestions I've had for videos through my Instagram page as well. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's the same username as this channel, Join Me Outdoors, and there have been some really good ideas for videos I can make in the future. So I think there are 4 main comments I'd really like to just touch base with after that last video. First one was, James, why don't you have micro spikes? I fully agree. I think I said it myself in the video. I wasn't even expecting snow on that last trip, but I could have done with micro spikes for the last 3 or 4 camps, to be honest. So that's something I'd like to sort out for winter camping at the end of this year. The second comment is, James, you've got your Vango foam mat the wrong way up. So this is the foam mat I picked up on the way to that camp, and when I watched it back at the same time as you lot, I looked at the foam mat that's got an aluminium coating on one side of it, and straight away, yeah, that should be the other way up. The silver side should be facing upwards to reflect your body heat back into you. And although it's not going to make a huge difference, manufacturers claim about a 15% increase in the warmth of the mat. So every little helps. Learn from my mistake. And I think I was just distracted by probably shooting the video, getting myself set up, and getting some food cooking before my water froze that night. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the Brecon Beacons in all their glory. Look at that view. And now that I look, we've got Pen y Fan on the right hand side here with Corndy to its left. I can see people on Pen y Fan as well. Pen y Fan is very popular, and that's going to lead me on to my third comment, I think, from my last video, which also leads me into one of the comments I had on Instagram as a suggestion for video in the future. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a young man camping in the Brecon Beacons on his own through those colder temperatures. He decided to camp on Pen y Fan itself, and unfortunately in the middle of the night his body temperature dropped so low that he felt he had to call mountain rescue to come and take him back to safety. So I'm going to tie this back to my video, because I had some people commenting on the amount of clothes I was wearing on that last camp. So on that last camp in the Black Mountains, the temperatures were down at -12 with the wind chill. I'd taken quite a lot of clothes, and I ended up wearing them all. In the night I ended up wearing a thermal base layer, a hoodie, 2 lightweight jackets, and also my big heavyweight mountain equipment down jacket, and a hat, and I had all of the hoods up. On top of that, I was in my Rabascent 900 sleeping bag, which is limit rated down to -18 Celsius. And I was sleeping on top of my Thermarest NeoAir X-Therm, which is a very warm mat. And I had that Vango foam mat underneath it to add a little bit more insulation to it. I did talk a little bit in that video about sleep systems, and I mentioned that everyone's sleep system needs to be tailored to them. That particular camp was my 41st wild camp. So although I'm not an expedition professional, I'm not professionally trained, I have got used to how I feel in the night, how my body copes with different temperatures, and what level of insulation I need to keep myself warm in different conditions. So in light of that, and in light of the mountain rescue story I just told you about, that tells me that that guy who went camping on Pen y Fan wasn't experienced enough or well informed enough to equip himself for those temperatures, to keep himself warm through the night and to keep himself safe. It is really important that you can keep yourself safe and warm on a wild camp, and if you're new to wild camping, if you're thinking about going out for your first camp, or maybe if you've only been for 2 or 3 camps, going out in the middle of winter when it's going to hit -10 in the night is not really the place to be learning how many jumpers you need in the night, or if you need to take an extra hat or an extra pair of gloves. It's really best to build these challenges, and I am the last person to say if there's a risky situation you should avoid it. I am all for risky activities. It's just a case of being aware of those risks and being as prepared as you can be, rather than just going in feet first and hoping for the best. That's not going to help you when it's freezing cold all the way through the night and you can't keep yourself warm. So off the back of that Instagram comment suggesting I talk about winter kit, I would like to release some videos about that. I think I've missed the boat a bit for this year really, because it is starting to warm up. But I'd like to talk about that fine line between budget gear that will do the job and cheap gear that ends up being a waste of money and also could put you in danger if it can't keep you warm enough in the night. And my fourth comment on the video was someone just voicing their concerns about me using a standard sports water bottle to hold hot water inside my sleeping bag. It hasn't really been a problem to date. I normally make sure there's a bit of cold water in there, or I don't make the water too hot. But actually on that camp I did get the water a little bit too hot. And I think because it cooled so rapidly, it drew a bit of air in as the bottle collapsed a bit when it cooled. And yeah, that noise just alerted me to the fact that it had pushed a little bit of water out, and as a result I finally bought myself a Nalgene water bottle which can take the hot water and has a proper screw cap. So we are properly in the bowl at the bottom of the Brecon Beacons horseshoe now. Pen y Fan and Corned just about to swing into the centre of shot, and I'm going to kick up to the right hand side here, and I haven't decided exactly where I want to camp yet. It might be on Van Beek if Van Beek is quiet, or I might try to go somewhere a little bit further away from the really popular footpaths, just to tuck away. You might be able to see there's still a bit of a stream of people coming down off the tops there, but the sun is breaking through. Pen y Fan is in the sun, Corned's in the sun, so it might be a pretty good evening. I do love this view straight down to the dam here. You can see the dam wall just tucked in among the trees there. I love that view. Okay, well I cursed it by saying that it looked nice and sunny for this evening. As you will have seen, there's clouds just drifting across there, enveloping Corned and Pen y Fan. I'm just spinning around now. I've got Cribbin behind me, looking absolutely magnificent. I really love Cribbin. The wind is picking up now, and I just passed someone else there who was up at the top, up at Van Beek here. He's heading down to the dam wall there for a camp, sensibly tucking away from the weather that's coming in tonight. The wind is picking up now and it's meant to continue to pick up. I'm not really too fazed by camping up on the top. I know it's not going to be sheltered at all, but I've got my big boy tent with me, and I think I trust the forecast I've read, which are saying that the wind shouldn't be too extreme. So I'll keep on pushing up, and I'll see you when I go looking for a spot to pitch my tent. Top of Van Beek now. This is the very well-known diving board just at the bottom of shot. Looking over to Cribbin now, and the top of Cribbin is just being slightly covered by the cloud. It is a cracking view down this valley from up here. I'm I'm just having a think about where to pitch my tent for the night. It's about 4:30 now, so I've got 2 hours before sunset, and the clock's changed tomorrow, so I will lose 1 hour of sleep in the night. This is the little shelter on the top of Vannebeek, and I am considering camping somewhere along here, possibly just there. I've camped on Vannebeek once before, but yeah, I fancy trying somewhere else out tonight. And Vannebeek is fairly popular once you get away from Pen y Fan, Corndy and Cribben. It really gets slightly quieter over this side, but it's still a very popular walking destination. The Brecon Beacons are just stunning, so it's not surprising that you get a lot of walkers like me coming here. So I don't really want to be near a footpath, because I mean, you do even get night runners, so people doing cross-country running through the night, so I don't want to be in their way, and I don't really want to open my doors to a whole load of people in the morning. So I'll just have a toddle around up here and see what kind of a spot I can find. The cloud has come in now, and I have found a place to put my tent. I think this area just down here should do. I've gone through a change of clothes, so I've got my waterproof trousers and jacket on now. Put my gloves on just because the air is getting quite cold. The forecast did say that with the wind chill tonight it would feel somewhere around -5, I think, so the sooner I get out of the wind the better. This spot isn't really all that well sheltered from the weather, so the wind is hitting me from the southwest here still, and the rain is going to come in really hard tonight, judging by the Met Office forecast. So I was hoping to find a really well drained area where I could put the tent that also had shelter, but everywhere up here is really quite boggy, so I've had to come out here a bit, and where I've found a spot where I think the tent should work, it's nice and dry and the ground's quite firm, because I want to be able to get the pegs nice and firmly seated in the ground, but it does mean I'm going to get that weather quite hard tonight, I think. The gusts of wind were already measuring 24 miles an hour at Vannebeek, so that wind is coming in a bit. Shame I can't see anything anymore. I should have a really good view down to the main horseshoe down here, but we'll see. It might clear up later, but all there is to do now is get the tent pitched, and I'll get all my kit set up. So now we've got a tent, let's get our gear inside and get out of this cloud. So while I leave my Flextail Tiny Pump 2X to pump up my mat, I'll just show you how I've pitched the tent. So the wind is coming from this end, and I've got the narrow end facing into the wind, and you'll notice that I've separated most of my guy lines so that each one gets an individual peg, instead of combining 2 guy lines onto 1 peg as I often do. And these pegging points down at the end that's facing into the wind, I have double pegged, so I've backed up the main peg with a second peg, and that does 2 things. It prevents the front peg from being able to pull forward if the wind gets really strong and pulls on the guy line, and this also prevents the guy line itself from managing to unhook itself from underneath the head of this peg. So I've done that for these 2 guy lines and these 2 guy lines as well, which are taking the brunt of the wind tonight. Hopefully it's not going to get too bad. It should be about 30 miles an hour, but you never know, the forecast is only really the best guess. So I've just double pegged those in case I need a bit more strength in the night, so I don't have to come scampering around in the middle of the night in the rain just to sort out the tent. But it's quite a good pitch really. This is how I'm looking. The Hilleberg Soulo in sand colour really does just disappear into the landscape in the Brecon Beacons. It's perfect, exactly what I wanted. But unfortunately my great big views across the Brecon Beacons are very much a uniform cloudy grey. So that's my mat inflated now. If you want a Flextail tiny pump 2X like mine, which also doubles up as a lantern, and it's a vacuum pump for deflating your mat in the morning, hit the link in my description. There's also a 15% discount code there. Happy camping. And just like that, I've got everything set up. Here is my Nalgene bottle. It's a ½ litre bottle, and this can take really hot water if I want to make myself a hot water bottle in the night. Screw cap also keeps it nice and secure. I am really looking forward to a brew dog tonight, I've got to say. I'm quite hungry as well. I'm not sure I've got quite as much food as I would like. MSR wind burner stove. I've got my Rabascent 900 sleeping bag once again. This is the bag that's rated to a limit of -18. I've got my Flextail Zero pillow, which is an absolute treat, as you can see. Low section, high section, just turn it round to whichever thickness you want. There's a link to this in my description as well. Once again, the 15% discount that applies to the Flextail Tiny Pump 2X will also get you 15% off the pillow. That's my tiny pump, now with its little clip-on lantern. That'll be my lantern for tonight. I've got my Thermarest Neoair X-Therm as usual, and odds and sods laying around the place. I mentioned I have another piece of kit, and that is my new bowl. So it's a Sea to Summit XL collapsible bowl, and as you can see, this packs down an absolute treat. And if I just pop it up by hand, you'll see that this is a fairly big bowl. I have a really big breakfast in the morning, so the smaller bowls aren't really enough for me. This thing has a 1,150 milliliter capacity, and I did actually test it out this morning, because I thought I don't want to be using this for the first time on a camp and find that I just can't eat out of it. But this is such a well-designed piece of equipment. I am a mechanical design engineer by trade, so I do tend to zone in on good pieces of design. So it just does everything you would hope for, really. So it can take temperatures of 180 Celsius down to -40. It's dishwasher proof. It is really easy to clean. The base is so hard that you can use it as a chopping board, and it just supports itself really well. I thought it would be difficult to eat out of, and it would always want to sort of collapse on the side, but it is really good. I'm really glad I bought this. It's also a little bit of a weight saving over the old square Tupperware tub I was using, and that tub, because it was a square shape, it was a bit awkward to pack. I would sometimes feel the corner digging into my back, but of course this thing, because it just squashes down flat, is an absolute dream to pack away, because it's just a skinny little disc. And what I've done for my food is I've measured out my breakfast, and I've just chucked it in a Ziploc bag like this. This is obviously a much easier shape, squidgy shape to pack in a rucksack than a square section box. So I'm really happy with that. I think this is a really good purchase. I think I got it for £12. I'll put the price up on the screen anyway. I think the RRP was £16, but yeah, I got this from Never Sport. Thank you very much, Never Sport, for your good service. Bought with my own money, I'll add. But for now, everything is set up, and I'm pretty happy with my pitch, I've got to say. I'll go around checking the guidelines later, but it's time to get some food cooking and time to enjoy this beer. Tent beer is good beer. My food for tonight is going to be Wayfarer's chicken tikka and rice, and a Wayfarer sticky toffee pudding. I'm all set up now with the MSR wind burner. That's 500 millilitres of water, and that's always the perfect amount, just to cover over the top of the meal bag there. So I just need to pop that off while I light the stove. And away we go. That's the main course heated up. So while I eat the main course, I'll get my pudding folded up and pushed into the water. And I'll just get that heating up as well, so that the pudding's nice and hot for when I finish my main course. It's about 6:45 in the evening now, and the really heavy rain is meant to set in around about 7 or 8 o'clock, somewhere around there. So it'd be really good if I finished all my food by the time the really heavy rain starts. Then I can just zip myself up, be nice and cozy inside the tent, and read my book. I've brought Rain and Wind's book, The Wild Silence, with me on this camp. So hopefully I'll get a few moments to have a read through that just while I unwind and just enjoy being out on the top of a mountain, really. That's what this is all about. Good morning, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning now. It's warmed up a little bit to 4 degrees now. The rain has stopped for the moment. It's been raining fairly solidly since midnight, and yeah, it's still 3 or 4 degrees at the moment, not much wind. The cloud is just kind of drifting in and out, and it keeps covering and uncovering the valley down below, which is really nice to look down on. I wasn't really expecting morning views today, but it's nice to be able to see the reservoir down below. It's quite a slow start for me today. It's gone 8 o'clock. I would normally want to be out here quite early, but this spot I've chosen is about 200 meters from the footpath, so I'm just kind of tucked away out on the corner of this hill, and I don't really expect to see any foot traffic coming through here this morning. My breath is just starting to mist up, but condensation levels weren't too bad considering I was in the cloud all night. The sleeping bag felt a little bit cold to the touch in the night because of the moisture, but last night I only had 2 layers on, so I had this grey hoodie and my thin thermal layer below it. No hat, no down jacket. So it's time for the first test of my Sea to Summit Collapsible XL bowl. There it is in all its glory. I've already measured out my cereal, so I know this is going to fit in there okay. I suppose my only reservation is about eating with a bowl with a slightly soft side on top of my sleeping bag, but what I can do is just hold it underneath, and actually it's surprising how stable it is once it's full. There's my nice full cereal bowl. Looking forward to some hot porridge to get the day started. I've also got some granola and some Cocoa Pops mixed in just for a bit of variety. The moment of truth. You can probably see that I've got a lot of water in there, but as you can see from my thumb over here, even pushing down on the bowl a little bit to stabilise it, it doesn't end up just collapsing and dumping all your cereal everywhere. So it looks pretty good to me. I've had my breakfast now and I've got everything packed up in my backpack that I can. All I've got left out is my gloves, the dry bag and the pole bag for my tent, and my shoes. Everything else is packed away because with it being rainy outside, I don't really want to have the door open, have any rain blowing in, soaking all my kit, so it's just easiest to get everything packed up in here. That's one reason why I do prefer the Hilleberg Soulo to the Southern Cross one, because there is that bit more space in here. It just makes it easier to kneel up, to roll up my sleep mat, pack down the sleeping bag, that kind of stuff. Let's get this tent packed away. That's me all packed up now. Here is the sort of rectangle shape where my tent was. I've cleared everything up, so I will be leaving no trace as usual. Visibility is about 25 or 30 meters, as you can see. So being over here just meant I was completely out of sight, and that's what's enabled me to have a nice slow, easygoing start today. So because you can't see anything, I'll end the video here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who's subscribed and liked and comment. I really enjoy having you all along for the ride, and I'll see you on the next video.